Hey y'all, and welcome to the kitchen. Today we are going to do my vegetable beef stew. That is a Crockpot and Instapot fan favorite. It's shortcut because it's shortcut in preparation and you can set it and forget it all day long. Or if you have an Instapot, this beef stew can be ready in just about an hour. So as far as beef stew goes, that is quite a shortcut. So here we're going to start with our ingredients because I want to show you where I got the help from the grocery store. First off, I've got my meat. This is stew beef. This is already cubed by my butcher, ready to go in my pot. You can buy a big roast, cut it up yourself. That is a money saver, but when these things go on sale, I stock them up and put them in my freezer. So I always have this really good, convenient cut of beef on hand, and it really does make a difference in your prep time. So other than that, I've got some grocery store shortcuts as well with my flavor, and that's these seasoning packets. I've got onion soup mix and this au jus gravy mix. You can also use brown gravy. This one is one that just really adds a depth of savory flavor that you can't get anywhere else. Then I have a few canned items that are going to amp up my veggie flavor. I've got canned corn. You can do creamed or whole kernel. Today I've got whole kernel, green beans, canned tomatoes, and some cream of mushroom soup. Now the cream of mushroom soup is kind of optional. It's whether you like a thick stew that has a gravy type consistency or a thinner brothy stew. So sometimes we like the thinner brothy, sometimes we like it thick and rich. That's where the cream of mushroom soup comes in. Totally up to you which way you like it. Then I've got some little things that I'm just going to prep really quick and show you. I've got some baby potatoes. These buddies can go in whole and be done just in the same amount of time, or you can half them to make it easier to eat. And then a couple of little onions. These onions are small. Typically I'd use one big onion, but I've got two little ones today. First thing I want to do is I want to start my Instapot. We always want to start our Instapot first because even though our cook time is fast, it does take some time to come up to temperature. So I'm going to set it on meat stew option, and then I'm going to set it for an hour. So I've already got mine set to 60 minutes because this is one thing I use this recipe for all the time. Last time I used my Instapot, it was for beef stew. It's still on 60 minutes. So this is actually going to tell me when it's warm enough by beeping. So right now it's on and it's heating. So we're going to get our stuff ready to go in the pot. Now my meat's going to go in first because we sear the bottom of our meat. If I was using a crock pot, I would sear it in a pan and then put it in the crock pot already browned on the outside. That's a step that I have skipped to test whether it really makes a difference or not. And friends, let me tell you, it makes a difference. Browning your meat makes a depth of flavor that you will never achieve no matter how long you cook it if you don't brown the meat before the whole stew gets together. Because here's the thing, you never get another chance to brown it because there's liquid in the pot. So we've got to brown it at the beginning. One thing I like to keep on hand is my spice seasoning mix. I always have it. It's 2 tablespoons of salt, 1 tablespoon of pepper, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 1 tablespoon of onion powder. It can be used for a million different things. So I'm going to just season real quick my roast in my package, and then we're going to get some oil in the bottom of my Instapot. Now my Instapot will sear before I put everything in it, just like a pan would, and that's why I can use one pot for this situation and never have to dirty another one. So I'm going to get a little oil in my pan. Going to go with just about 2 tablespoons of olive oil or avocado oil. Y'all know my love for avocado oil, so that's what I've got on hand. If you've watched me before, I sure do love my avocado oil. I'm kind of on a kick right now. So it's going in my pan. I'm going to make sure that the heat looks high enough, and it does. So I'm going to put my meat in, and then I'm going to sear the opposite side of my meat after I get it into my pan. And I never have to get my hands dirty. So get everybody in there, and you can hear that sizzle. Okay, I had to get 2 fingers dirty because I had to retrieve that out of there. But I'm not going to touch anything with those 2 fingers until I finish this seasoning and can go wash up. So I'm going to take my seasoning and get it on the other side of my meat. And you can hear that sizzle. Make sure you can hear that sizzle. That's what you want. If it's not sizzling, it's not ready. If you feel like you're not sure, throw 1 piece of beef in there, test it out. If it's not sizzling, you're not going to get a browning. You're going to get a steaming, and that is not going to give you that desired flavor. Okay, so the other side is seasoned. I'm going to rinse my hands real quick and we'll move on. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is chop my onions. Now, a lot of times I do tell you, chop those onions over the weekend. Well, we were out of town last weekend and I didn't have time to meal prep anything, so we're going to be chopping onions together this morning. And you know what? I want to talk to you about the best way to do that. A sharp knife is so important. If you don't like the tears that come with chopping onions, well, a dull knife is going to make that a lot worse for you. So I want to show you the true test of a sharp knife, and it is this. When you can cut through an onion with minimal tears, very easily and quickly, you know you have a sharp enough knife. Another test is if you have a tomato on hand. Cut through that tomato, one quick slice, and if it crushes the tomato, instead of slicing it, then you need to sharpen your knife or get a new one. So my knife here I got for Mother's Day for my oldest son. I love that we're to a point, he's 21, and we've been here for several years now. I love that we're to a point where my older kids actually shop for my Mother's Day stuff by themselves. There's no more like taking them to the store, Dad taking them to the store and picking out stuff. So typically, my oldest son, he's super practical. He'll get me something like that I need, that he knows that I've been waiting to buy for myself. I'm fighting with this onion peel, so y'all just bear with me. Okay, when in doubt, take off one more layer, and don't waste a lot of time, friends. I'm just sitting here talking because I've got you with me. So anyway, he got me a knife and measuring spoons for Mother's Day, and I love it so much because I needed a knife really bad. My other one had been sharpened for 5 or 6 years, and it just was time. So I got this knife for Mother's Day, and I've really loved it. So I'm going to link it right below so y'all can get one. It's so affordable, and you don't have to pay a fortune for a good knife, but you need a good knife. A knife will save you so much time if it is sharp enough. So we're going to bang through these onions real quick, and as soon as I get these sliced, that's the next thing that's going to go into my pot. So see how quickly that goes just right through that onion skin? We're not at all crushing this onion, so I have minimal fumes getting up into my face, okay? If you go a few videos over, you can see me slicing tomatoes with this bad boy, and it will go into that tomato skin easily. So that's how you know. That's the trick. And 2, it's not ideal, but if you cut yourself with a sharp knife, it hurts a whole lot less. Okay, so second onion going in, and after I do that, I'm going to start adding in my layers of flavor. I'm going to stir around the pot. We season every single layer. So I'm going to stir the pot, season my onion layer, and then I'm going to start adding in my other canned vegetables. Always season every single layer, because you never want to get to the end and be like, why does my food not taste like anything? So when you season every single layer, you get to the finish line with a really good result, instead of wasting so much time with the testing it and trying to fix it at the end. Okay, last onion peel. These little papery peel onions, I'm going to tell you, there's different varieties of onions in your grocery store. I buy what's on sale, and when you got the papery variety on the outside, often those are just like white or plain yellow onions. They take a little longer to get the papery off. If you start to get flustered with that, friend, go ahead and just take off an extra layer. But if you really don't like chopping onions, there's a secret in your freezer section, and it's frozen chopped onions. I've told some friends about it, and their lives have never been the same. So go over there and get you some frozen chopped onions, and you'll never ever have to chop an onion again. So onions going in the pot. And you see why I say to do it over the weekend, because that just could have saved me a lot of time if I had 2 cups of onions already chopped like I do. Typically when I cut my onions ahead of time when I weekend prep, I do a big like 4 or 5 onions at a time. That's all I need for a week usually. So that helps me out. Okay, we're seasoning the next layer, and we're going to stir this with my wooden spoon. And then we're going to get our lid locked on. Okay. Just another teaspoon and a half of my seasoning blend. And you really just take every opportunity to get all these flavors in, so that is going to add a depth of flavor that you wouldn't normally get with just regular salt and pepper. So, okay. Tomatoes going in. Boy, do I love when it has the pop top. I have a can opener. He and I have a love-hate relationship. We'll see how well I do today. For the first, I guess, 10 years of our marriage, maybe a little bit more, I had an electric can opener. So now that I have a handheld, I just feel like Sometimes we work well together. Sometimes I'm like, get a good one though. This one's a really, really good one. Okay, here we go. We're going to drain the water off of both of these. Or actually, it's seasoned canning liquid. It has salt in it, and we want to be in charge of our own salt. So we drain the liquid. And then we get our green beans, our corn, and our tomatoes. And then we're going to get our seasoning packet in there with our au jus and our onion soup mix. Now, this onion soup mix is something that I use so much. When I buy it, I buy like 5 boxes at a time because I just use it for everything. This goes in my meatloaf sometimes. This goes into different chicken and rice recipe. I have a chicken and rice that's like French onion flavored that's baked, super yummy. French onion dip, you know, obviously that one. My oldest son loves French onion dip, and if I have this on hand, he's like, Mom, can you just make the whole tub of sour cream French onion dip? Yep, I sure can. He's 21, and when he's home, he kind of gets what he wants because he's not here a lot. But he's about to be. Okay, so I added in my onion soup mix and my au jus. I'm going to get my cream of mushroom soup in here, and then I'm going to add in some water. Now, we're not going to use beef stock like I normally would because we have au jus and cream of mushroom, so that's extraordinarily salty. But having said that, if you don't have beef stock and you want to really amp up your salty flavor, it's not salty enough for you, beef base is what I would get, or beef bouillon, and add about a tablespoon of that. So I'm going to get 2 or 3 cups of water. I just want this meat to be covered, and so I'm going to get 2 cups, see where I'm at, and then add another one. Because you want this to be thick enough to still be a stew instead of a soup, but have enough liquid that you're going to have plenty of juice for your rice at the end, because we serve this over white rice or egg noodles. So I'm going to stir this together, because we did have liquid in there from our tomatoes, and our onions did weep some. This has more liquid in it than you would think. And I'm going to add in 1 more cup like I thought. Okay, and then last thing I'm going to do is get my potatoes in. Now, potatoes are little babies, so we don't even have to chop them. We're just cutting them in half. And I don't even have to cut them in half. I'm only going to do it because it's easier to eat in the end, and we have some littles that really would do better if they're cut. So I'm going to get about 2 cups of potatoes into this. Get 1 final seasoning done. We're going to put in another tablespoon or so of seasoning, and then we're going to lock our lid down. And once that lid is locked down, you will hear a steam sound if it's an Instapot. If you've got your Crockpot, it's time to lock it and set it to 4 hours on high, or you can set it to 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours on low. I think that's about 2 cups. Okay, so we're going to go in with our potatoes. This is such a hearty dish. It is so filling. It serves a crowd and lasts forever. Okay, we're going to lock our lid on, and when it's locked, it will let you know. See? Locked. And then you want your valve, if you're using an Instapot, to be on sealed. And it will beep when it actually starts the timer to 60 minutes. So I'm going to let that go. And when we get back, I'm going to show you how we serve it over white rice. Our beef stew is done, and I want to show you how I serve it up. But first I want to show you how to safely release the steam on an Instapot. So I'm going to pull it out from my cabinets just a little bit. I want to make sure this is not underneath my cabinets, because it's going to release steam, and that could be really bad for my cabinets. So I'm going to go like that, and I'm going to step back. If you have an Instapot that's cooking while you're away from home, this is actually going to happen slowly on its own. It'll slowly release the pressure. But this is what happens when you need to release it by yourself so you can get the lid off and eat quickly. So we're going to just let this steam release, and I'm going to start getting some rice in my bowl. I've got some cooked white rice here that I seasoned just with some salt in my cooking water. You always want to take every chance you get to season your cooking liquid. And I put 2 tablespoons of butter in there because I don't ever make rice without some sort of fat in it. And then I'm going to get a ladle out so we can get this yummy, yummy soup on it. Where did my ladle go? There it is. Okay. This takes a good little minute. So you want this all to be released. The lid actually won't release and unlock until the steam is completely let out. This is what the pressure has been keeping inside the pot that's cooked our meat extraordinarily fast and extraordinarily well. You can use a pressure cooker to do all kinds of things. I would look it up if I were you. You can do things like boiling eggs, cooking pasta. There's all kinds of neat little tricks that you can use your Instapot for. I think we're getting close to the end. It's starting to slow down. You can see there's not as much steam coming out. There's just a little bit left. And this actually stays warm for a long time. So if you want to just serve it like this and keep it warm on your countertop, just let people go back as they get hungry. This is a good tip for a party or entertaining. Put a pot of beef stew, or if you're doing a football game, put a pot of chili in your Instapot. Everybody's happy all evening long. It stays warm and you're not in and out of the kitchen 1,000 times. Okay, almost there. It feels like it takes longer when somebody's watching. It's like watching water boil. I'll fast forward this part a little bit. Okay, we are finally there. I've got an unlocked lid. I heard it go click. So here we go. This is going to just twist just like that. Oh, and the smell that goes into the air the minute the lid comes off. Oh, nothing like it. I'm going to show you how yummy this is. Now, we cooked this exactly 60 minutes. So the beef is going to be incredibly tender because of the pressure, like it cooked for 4 or 5 hours. Y'all come here. Look how pretty that is. It's 1,000,000 degrees. I'm going to taste this, but it'll probably be about 5 minutes. So y'all try this. As always, happy cooking, y'all. I'm going to link the knife below, and I can't wait to see you in the kitchen next time. Get yourself an Instapot or a Crockpot and get to work. See you later.